Hey guys, Anthony Beckham here. Welcome to the channel where real estate is life. Today we're going to be going over my 9 favorite tips for cold calling in real estate. I would say cold calling is one of the most important skills to have as a real estate agent, and it's how I've built my company to selling over 100 homes a year, and it's primarily what I focus on with every new team member their first day in real estate. So it's super important. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. Leads. So the first thing we need to talk about is who are you going to call? There's several different options and different routes you could go with this. You could go with buying leads, which are usually gonna be buyer leads that you're buying from, let's say, Zillow.com, Realtor.com. There's plenty of vendors out there that would love to sell you buyer leads. Or you can go the other route where you're actually creating your own ads, let's say through Facebook, and then driving them to like a Carrot website like I do, where you're actually generating your own leads as like your own Zillow. Or you can pursue seller leads, which are gonna be like for sale by owners, expired listings, or circle prospecting, which is basically where you call everybody who lives in a specific neighborhood. When I was getting started, I even called people directly out of the phone book. So the bottom line is here that there are no excuses. There's always someone to call, whether you're paying for a lead or even getting it right out of the phone book. This isn't a sales call. So the next thing I want to talk about is how people approach their phone calls. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is, say they're calling an expired listing, for example, and they go, "Hey Bob, this is Anthony Beckham with the Beckham Group associated with Harris Realty LLC. How you doing today?" If I was Bob, I'd probably hang up on you right there, and I can guarantee that that's gonna happen 99% of the time because I've already gone through it and had those experiences. By leaving that open-ended, "How are you doing today?" it leaves this unnatural pause. I mean, there isn't any friends that I call and go, "Hey, this is Anthony Allen Beckham, social security number X, Y, and Z. How are you doing today?" No, nobody talks like that. You can completely bypass the whole awkward sales call intro that everybody teaches just by using a script along the lines of, "Hey Bob, this is Anthony. I'm a local realtor. I saw that your property came off the market and was just curious if you were still planning on selling." Now, that script is something that Bob couldn't just respond yes or no to. He'd have to give you a little bit of information, and hopefully that would allow you to lead the conversation in a way that is a lot more natural. If you're starting off the script by just saying, "Hey, I'm a realtor, this is what I'm calling you for," that's gonna be a lot better intro that can hopefully get the conversation to take a more natural path, which leads me into my next topic, tonality. Tonality is probably one of the most important tips that we're gonna be going over today, and is one of the things that I hammer home with every one of my new team members. If I'm walking by you and you're on the phone, I shouldn't be able to tell whether you're talking to, your best friend, your grandma, or a new prospect off of tonality. A new lead is gonna be much more receptive to you if you come across as friendly. And I try to take that to a whole nother level to where the lead is even second guessing whether we've talked before, just because that's the kind of vibe that I'm giving from our very first phone call. I try to get the team to lean away from the "one moment please" kind of doctor's office vibe that some real estate offices can have, and a more, "Hey, how's it going?" It's more of a friendly tonality that you want to have with your leads. Otherwise, they'll never become your friends if you don't treat them like friends. Less talking, more listening. When we're first getting started cold calling, it can be sort of nerve-wracking. I know at least it was for myself, and oftentimes when the nerves are getting to you, it's easy to start trying to fill in the blanks or talking extra fast and talking over the prospect because you're so glued to a script. One of the things that I want you to focus on is the fact that you shouldn't be filling in those blanks. So whenever you are asking your questions, give the prospect time to respond to it and really listen to what that prospect's telling you. Even if it gets you off track of real estate topic a little bit, that's okay, because that's what's gonna make the conversation more natural and take some of that pressure off of you, where you're just using the script as somewhat of a guideline. When you ask those real estate related questions and there's some awkwardness there, it's okay. Let the prospect fill in that awkwardness so that you don't have to. Try to ask more open-ended questions. Instead of, are you gonna list with a real estate agent? Maybe ask something along the lines of, when are you considering listing with a real estate agent? There's a big difference between those two questions, as one, you can easily get a yes or no, and most likely a no, where the other actually entices them to, give you an answer and maybe delve a little bit deeper into their situation and timing. So it's those subtleties and giving them the time to get those things out. Even if it doesn't necessarily pertain to real estate, it's okay, because we want to get the prospect talking. The more we get the prospect talking, the more room there is for conversation and for building rapport. Next, stand up and smile. The energy and the natural flow of your conversation is going to be a night and day difference from when you're sitting down behind a desk, stagnant, to standing up, smiling, walking around. The conversation is gonna come much more natural to you, and you're gonna have a much better tonality. At our office, I buy everybody stand-up desks, because standing up while doing your calls is highly encouraged. I even take it an extra mile and hang a mirror in front of the desk, because I want you to be able to see yourself while you're having these conversations, to make sure that you're keeping that smile on your face, because they will be able to hear it through the phone. Best times to call. If you think of an average person's schedule, most people are gonna be working some of the daylight hours Monday through Friday. Now, I've found that the best time to make calls, at least for me, are between, let's say, 9 and noon and 4 to 7 p.m. My theory is that this is the best time to make calls, either because this is before people are going to work or after they're getting off work. Now, with that being said, I don't want you guys to use that as an excuse. Well, it's 1 p.m. Everybody's at work. I guess I'm not gonna make calls today. Just because it's 1 p.m. doesn't mean that you can't make calls. Who's available at 9 a.m. may not be the same person that's available in the afternoon or in the evening. If you get a lead that appears to be a good lead, or it's an expired listing that you really want, call them multiple times. You may try calling them at 9 a.m. and if that doesn't work, maybe call them again at 5 p.m. Call them at 11 a.m. on a Saturday if you already called them a couple times during the week. Everybody has different schedules and everybody has a time that's gonna work best for them. I suggest actually blocking the same time off on your calendar each day, say 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for not only your cold calling, but also for your lead follow-up with the cold calls that went well. If you have this set up as a dedicated appointment with yourself every day, it's gonna be a lot easier to make those calls day in and day out. And a lot of this comes with repetition, because your success is gonna be a numbers game. If you're strictly calling leads that are either, cold calls, FSBOs, expireds, whatever the case is, there's absolutely no reason why you should not be using an auto dialer. When you're calling a specific group of prospects, all of the conversations are gonna be very similar. There's absolutely no reason not to throw those prospects into a dialer and cut down your time in between calls, typing in phone numbers and leaving voicemails, because if you have some big goals, it's gonna be that much easier for you when you've increased your productivity by 3 or 4 times just with the simple fact of using an auto dialer. Using an auto dialer can double or even triple your productivity. The way that it works is you upload a spreadsheet that has all of your prospects in it, and it can call anywhere from 1 to 3 lines at a time. Not only that, but you're not dialing any of these numbers, because of course it's doing it through the spreadsheet, and you can even have a pre-recorded voicemail, saving you 20 seconds per call, because with the click of a button, it's leaving that voicemail for you. Two systems that I've used for this are both RedX and the Mojo Dialer, which are widely used and have great reputations as good software companies in the real estate industry. One thing that we do to heavily increase our productivity is we label everybody within our CRM. We use the Perfect Storm CRM, and for say a prospect that we haven't heard back from and we've called them 3 times, we'll put, let's say, a not yet contacted tag on that lead. We have a whole bucket of leads that are these not yet contacted that typically don't answer the phone. One thing that we do to heavily increase our productivity is we categorize all of our leads based on their responsiveness. We use the Perfect Storm CRM and say that we call someone 3 times and they don't answer, then we're gonna put them in a bucket of not yet contacted. So if we get a lead and we've called them several times and they haven't answered, we may put them into our not yet contacted bucket. We can then take that list of not yet contacted leads and upload them into the Mojo Dialer. We may have 60 contacts on the list and only talk to 3 of those people, which if these are people that you've called several times and they haven't answered, those are very realistic expectations for that group of people. So you can quickly see how 60 dials the old-fashioned way of people that aren't even answering the phone and you leaving 60 voicemails throughout the day is rather obsolete when you could literally get it done in 15 to 20 minutes using a system like the Mojo Dialer. Know your scripts. The better that you know your scripts, the easier it's going to be to keep the conversation natural and guided. It's important to use the script as a guide so that you're not necessarily interrogating the people with questions, but you have something that you can always come back to when you're ready to progress the conversation forward. Let the conversation flow naturally with your questions, but remember that you have that script to use as a roadmap so that you can gain control of the conversation. Once the lead starts asking you a bunch of questions like, how long have you been in real estate? How many homes have you sold in my neighborhood? How did you get my number? You're allowing them to take control of the conversation, which is where you're gonna start to get nervous and stumble over your words and maybe rush through some things, talking fast and not necessarily building that rapport that you would otherwise. Instead, just use your script as a guide and remember your objection handlers. There are only so many responses that a lead can even give you. Think about an expired lead, for instance, and you ask, would you still consider selling your home? There's only so many responses that a normal person could use to respond to that question. Maybe yes, no, maybe, not right now, or do you have a buyer? If you've already mapped out and memorized a few of these objection handlers to the most common objections, then you're gonna have to improvise that much less and you're gonna know what's coming at you 99% of the time. Referring to your script and your objection handlers to keep moving that prospect down the funnel towards your listing appointment. Not only will tracking your numbers help you stay motivated, but it will also make your business that much more predictable. Say that you're tracking your numbers every day and you see that you made 500 calls one month and you put 5 deals in escrow. Well, it's pretty easy to work backwards from those numbers and see for every about 100 calls you make, you're putting 1 deal in escrow. So if you want to double the amount of deals that you're doing per month, then you could just double the amount of calls. Say make 1,000 calls a month and you'd put 10 deals in escrow. So it makes it much easier to reverse engineer your goals and make your business predictable. I personally use a daily tracker every single day where I have my goals on there and I tally every call, conversation, text message, and appointment that I set every single day. Then I take the information from that sheet and I put it into an Excel spreadsheet at the end of every business day. And I have my team members all do the same. Whenever you have all your information put into this Excel spreadsheet, it's really easy to see where you're at and how you've been progressing over time as your conversion rate gets better and better. This has made it a lot easier to have my monthly and quarterly meetings with members of my team where we can see how well they're improving, how many calls they're making a day, how many conversations they're having, how many appointments, and in turn, how many sales. Even though it may not be the most fun or exciting tip, I would say that it is one of the most important because it's what is going to make your business predictable over time. If you guys have any questions about cold calling, where we're getting our leads, or different techniques we use, feel free to comment them below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel where real estate is life, and we will see you guys on the next one. See ya.